Hello, friends. Lee Sanders back with you all for night 2 of our WWE SummerSlam post-show coverage for this Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. Come one, come all. Glad you are spending your Sunday night with me, putting that nice, pretty little bookend to your weekend, to SummerSlam weekend. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Sound off. Let me know what you thought about tonight's night 2 event of SummerSlam. Hell, if you maybe just got around today, possibly, in seeing night 1 of SummerSlam, and you wanted to give some reactions to that as well, you can definitely do so. That's definitely welcome. Got a poll up exclusively on YouTube. Take your pick. Go to youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the post section and you can vote that way. Also, for those of you that want to weigh in during the live stream, we do have a live interactive poll on our YouTube chat where you can go in there and cast your vote. I'm actually setting it up right now. I wish I would have been able to do this beforehand, but it's all good. I don't mind doing it in real time here with you guys. I just got to create one more skipping it, and it is now live. Yeah, look, a lot to talk about here. My main concern going into tonight's show was, man, can Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, can the rest of the lineup for night 2, man, can they freaking deliver? Can they bring the goods? Can they somehow match everything that was good from night 1, possibly surpass it? Oh, but at the very least, tie the goodness that came from night 1. And I thought that when it was all said and done, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, everybody else, they definitely carried night 2. They definitely did. I mean, if you were to ask me right now, which night did I enjoy more? That is a tough one, my friends. That really, really is a tough one. Let's see if we can circle back to that later on. Seriously, because I need a little bit of time to think about that one and everything. So, Roman Reigns, I'll tell you this, and I talked about this over the past couple of weeks, and that was, what type of match are we going to get from Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins? By now, a good chunk of the wrestling community very exhausted, that pretty much it just seemed like every year, every other year, somehow these two guys were facing each other one on one, and it was just so drawn out, so exhausting. Great vocal amount of you guys were like, can we just go in a different direction already? What the hell, man? Like, come on, let's spice it up. Let's put some new variety in there and everything. What the hell? So I looked at this matchup just going, look, Rollins, Reigns, they really got to do their due diligence in really giving us something that we can go, you know what, not for nothing, but that was an exceptionally damn good match. Yo, not for nothing, but everything that I saw from these two guys when they went one on one against each other in previous years, yo, that's nothing compared to what I saw of them in 2026. They really took it up to a higher level. That was my challenge to everybody involved, including Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns for this matchup. And they did that and then some. And not to mention, I know some of us were a little bit disappointed with night 1's Hell in a Cell match only being, what was that, 10, 11 minutes? And so we were greatly rewarded tonight with Rollins and Reigns closing things out as these guys went 30 minutes. And if you remember during my night 1 coverage, I told you guys that the grand total of minutes that we had for night 1, it was 79 minutes of in-ring action. Tonight, the number went up just a little tiny bit, not by much, but we had 83 minutes of in-ring action total. Okay. Love the story that they told for the main event match between Reigns and Rollins, and once and for all letting it die, just putting it all to sleep. This whole rivalry that's been happening between these two men for years upon years upon years. I even love the nice little nod that they did there in acknowledging Dean Ambrose, aka John Moxley, right down to the point, both men paying homage to him, doing the paradigm shift that we come to know and love from Moxley and everything. Nice little touch that they did there. We also have ourselves a new interim women's champion. I'm not really a fan of that one word that's in there, interim. I got a lot to say in regards to that, especially considering it's amazing because so many people are tripping over the word, but I am tripping over a particular set of words that Michael Cole said during the ladder match for the interim women's championship. More on that during this special. Also, talk about the fact that Chad Gable, if you're a Chad Gable fan, he did the possible. It wasn't impossible. He actually did the possible in becoming the new Intercontinental champion, defeating Penta. A lot of good stuff to talk about here on night 2 of our WWE SummerSlam post-show coverage. So let's go ahead. Let's get into this bad boy already. Jumping right into night 2. We had a fatal 4-way to determine the number 1 contender for the undisputed WWE Championship. You heard me right. Originally, this was Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn. And you're going, hey, that should be a nice little fun matchup. Like, this is fresh pretty much. So, yeah, like these two guys being asked to open up night 2 of SummerSlam. Fuck yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go ahead. Like, man, it doesn't get more indie-rific than Finn Balor, Sami Zayn. Like, yeah, let's do this. And then right after our initial 2 participants made their way to the ring, we get SmackDown general manager, the newly reinstated SmackDown general manager, Nick Aldis, coming out and saying, by the way, I did see some of the highlights that was floating around on social media. I love seeing Triple H talk with Nick Aldis after the match with Gunther, basically, and was like, yo, you did what you needed to do in the ring. That's how we settle things, right? Because Nick Aldis gave Triple H, Paul Levesque, his resignation letter. And Triple H just was like, yo, I respect this. Really, you have no idea. Like, it means a lot and everything. But he pretty much was like, rip, tore that bad boy up. And pretty much was like, hey, go ahead, continue to do your job as a SmackDown general manager. This thing with Gunther, definitely water under the bridge. It's over. And Nick Aldis like, yeah, and they shook hands, all that. It's really cool how that had all played out and everything. So Nick Aldis coming out to reveal that there was going to be a third participant in this match, and it would be no other than Gunther. So you're looking at this, you're going, wait a minute. Why is Gunther being rewarded here? Like, this doesn't quite. Is Nick Aldis trying to right a wrong here, or is he maybe about to get the last laugh somehow out of this? Like, how does this make any sense? Like, what the hell? So, as you're starting to wrap your brain around that, Nick Aldis reveals, but wait, there's more. Kind of like Billy Mays. You order now, you'll get. But wait, there's more. As we get a fourth participant thrown into the mix. At this point, you're going, okay, who could this fourth person be? And then, we were surprised when we had saw the returning Randy Orton on night 1 of WrestleMania. So now you're kind of like, well, maybe it's going to be Randy Orton. No, not Randy Orton, but we get a pretty cool ass return. It was definitely a WTF moment. After 17 months away from in-ring competition due to getting neck fusion surgery, Owens fight himself, Kevin Owens, making his return to the WWE. Great pop from the crowd. I actually was yelling at my TV loud. It was funny because I came into my bedroom and I was checking some emails and all that, and I'm just looking at all this talking and everything that's going on. And then when I hear KO's music, I'm like, wait, what? And Owens comes out. I just lost it. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan and following his work on the Indies and everything prior to the WWE. So I definitely, very seldom do I have a mark out moment. Very seldom do I have a really cool good feel moment when I'm watching these pay-per-views from these promotions. And that was definitely a really cool, because I got to tell you, I did not think, I'm sure like many of you all did not think that Kevin Owens was going to be returning to the ring. It just really seemed as though, well, never say never, but for me personally, I just was going, okay, so as far as 2026 goes, don't look for Kevin Owens. That was my mindset right now. I didn't even entertain 2027 or 2028. My mind was just Kevin Owens is out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, he's doing little appearances here and there, meet and greets. He's doing pre-show stuff, all that post-show stuff, but don't expect anything else. So this was a welcome breath of fresh air as far as I was concerned. Remember the last time that we saw Kevin Owens in that squared circle? You got to rewind it back. He was supposed to face Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41. Remember that? And that was beautiful the way they had set all that up. However, on that April edition, it was during the first week in April edition of SmackDown. I remember watching that episode vividly. Owens came out and he revealed that he had suffered a really bad neck injury and that it would require surgery. And he was really bummed out about it. He was looking forward to having the match with Randy Orton and everything. Remember that? And then it became a case where open challenge was put out there for Randy Orton, who was willing to step up and face Randy Orton. And then we got a replacement for Kevin Owens by one. You know your trivia? Do you know your trivia? It was Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry was the one who challenged. What was that? WrestleMania 41. Yeah, it was there. So interesting just how things have come pretty much full circle and all of that. Now, I know there's a little bit of chatter online where some people are looking at the return of Kevin Owens, and rather than just be in celebration of the fact that, wow, thought this guy's career was potentially over, like what the hell, a little bit of criticism on Triple H, Paul Levesque, and WWE. Yes, believe it or not, there actually is criticism from some folks online in regards to seeing Kevin Owens return tonight. Some people feel that Triple H missed the mark here because it's like, yo, why did we waste a Kevin Owens return here at SummerSlam, especially considering WWE was really struggling to sell out this arena here for SummerSlam. Remember, we were just here night one, and I told you guys, hey, kind of interesting that WWE did not even mention an attendance number. And if you were looking at some of the footage, I did hip you guys to this from last night. I say, yo, the Roman Drapes era is back because we've got footage out there of many sections of this arena that was all draped off, right? They're like, hey, get your SummerSlam tickets, $25, get it while it lasts, right? We're hearing all this that's going on and everything. And I said to you guys, yo, it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to get an attendance number, because they did not mention the attendance number for night one. And I said to you guys, I'm curious if there's going to be some type of an announcement for night two where they say, hey, look, this is what we did for night one. This is what we did for night two. Now, if they did do that, I need you guys to pop in the chat and let me know if they made the announcement tonight, because as far as I know, I was in front of the television for most of the pay-per-view. I would say like 95% of the time. So if they did do an announcement, I may have missed it, or because I'm here in the United States and we got just a plethora of commercials, they might have done it for the international crowd and we just didn't get it. But night one attendance 36,683. Meanwhile, night two 33,086. That's a combined total of 69,769. Run with that, take that however you want to take that. But that's what they did this SummerSlam weekend in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the US Bank Stadium. Okay. So, again, about the whole thing with Kevin Owens, some people kind of poo-pooing on, yo, why didn't you maybe kind of hype this up beforehand? And look, this isn't me defending WWE, but something that I want for you all to have in the back of your head. And I have a feeling that we're probably going to learn a lot, assuming that WWE is doing some type of a post show right now, and we'll get to hear from Kevin Owens and a few other people. I would imagine one of the questions that's going to be asked is, Kevin, when did you get cleared? How soon did you know you were going to be part of this matchup and all of that? Because I'm very curious, like legit to know, okay, when was Kevin Owens actually cleared? Was it a case where he was cleared sometime this week and pretty much like right before they got to SmackDown, they pretty much had to, oh wait, he's cleared? He's oh shit. And was it a case where they operated that way? I want to learn more information before I even comment any further, right? So those of you that's already going the negative route with, yo, what the hell is Triple H thinking? What's WWE thinking? This is just kind of stupid booking. And let's first wait and hear, right? It's better to have as much information as you can rather than be so reactionary, right? Now, if we get that information by the time we come back here for Monday's show after Raw, and like WWE has known about Kevin Owens' status, he's been cleared for a couple of weeks, then that's a different conversation we obviously need to have and be like, damn, you were struggling to sell your tickets. Yeah, maybe do some type of video package little joint of Kevin Owens returning to the ring. You didn't need to have him return on SmackDown. Just keep doing the vignettes and the guy eventually pops up at SummerSlam, right? But have that in the back of your head as we continue on. So anyway, great match. And for anybody wondering, yeah, Kevin Owens is back, but like, is he really back? Oh, baby. KO is back. I mean, out the gate. Dude was doing a damn uh moonsault over the top rope, crashing into a bunch of people. Then he shortly after that went up to the top rope, did like done a little moonsault. So I mean, he definitely is back and everything. I love seeing him and Sami Zayn embrace one another. Sami beside himself, he couldn't believe it, but that's his brother. Two of them embrace, and then they just start beating the holy shit out of each other. Great little spot right there and all of that. Our winner, by the way, for this fatal four-way, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is your new number one contender for the undisputed WWE Championship. So how about that in 2026? Kevin Owens, aka Kevin Steen, is going to be taking on Chicago's own CM Punk. That is just so fucking surreal to me. I mean, really stop and think about that, especially if you're an old school wrestling head like me, right? And you're like, wait a minute, 2026, CM Punk, Kevin Owens. Like, that is going to be such a damn good program. I'm looking forward to that. I got to say, I'm looking forward to that. Great opener for night one. Correction, for night two of SummerSlam. I thought everybody involved did a really good job. Kevin Owens definitely showing that he is back, and whatever surgery fusion that he had and all of that good stuff, like, he's more than good. He's more than just 100% good. That homeboy is like, yo, put me in, coach. And that's literally what happened. He's like, put me in, coach. Like, I can do the damn. Yeah, he did that. And then some. I think the right person went over in this matchup. Have no problem with Kevin Owens winning it. Um, and here's the beautiful part. Here's the beautiful part. I can't wait to see now that the dust has cleared and all that, and we know who the number one contender is for Punk. I can't wait to see how Sami Zayn is going to react to this because Sami was already beside himself when Gunther was at it. But then when his brother Kevin Owens was added and everything, and then just looking at the history between those two, oh, that is going to be some rich WWE storytelling this coming week because I would imagine Sammy's going to be like, "Yo, we're best friends, right? Like after everything we've been through, like, dude, I'm happy for you and everything, but you couldn't give me a heads up that, right?" And I'm curious how they're going to address that in story arc and all of that. But yeah, Owens, Punk, that is going to be so good because just on the microphone alone, those two guys are the best of the yakety yak. They are. And this is one of those cases where, like, if you are the creative writers, it's like, yo, let's just defer to these guys because these guys, they know each other's history. Like they really don't need us, right? Let's just kick back. And if anything, we'll just take what they give us and we can just amplify that and take that in whatever direction. That would be my challenge to everybody involved in creative, right? You obviously want to sit down with the two, but like this is one of those cases where it's like this shit can just get over on its own organically. It can breathe on its own. You got two of the best. You really don't need to do that much more and everything. So um happy with the result. Definitely happy with the result. Next up, by the way, that match, according to my notes, that match was 11 minutes. 11 minutes. Next up, we got the US title match. Trick Williams defending against the returning Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin defeating Williams for that United States championship. Uh Ending Trick Williams' reign as it comes to an end at 105 days. I don't know how I personally feel about this. I got to be honest with you because I'm a huge Trick Williams fan. Have been for a long time. Um, this is a tough one. This is really a tough one for me because I felt they were just starting to scratch the surface a little bit there with Trick Williams. I didn't get fatigue yet in regards to Trick Williams. I definitely wasn't getting fatigue from Little Yachty, right? But I will admit something to you guys in regards to Little Yachty. I appreciate the fact that I don't know if it's Lil Yachty's schedule or if it's WWE kind of going, hey, we could use you here, but don't call us, we'll call you. I don't know what's going on there, but I've been appreciating less Lil Yachty because the impact that he had initially, and you guys remember that's been checking me out for a while. I mean, I was singing Lil Yachty's praises a couple of months back, and I just thought the combination between these two, I mean, there was just something that was organically there that deserved more probing. Like we needed to see more of this combination and everything. And now it just kind of feels like whatever maybe was there that I saw, maybe a lot of you all were like, yeah, well, I'm seeing it too, Lee. Yeah, it just kind of seems like it faded like real quickly. And now I'm just kind of looking at Lil Yachty and going, this is too much extra. Like we really don't need Lil Yachty. So that's just my wishful thinking right there. But Trick Williams himself, I felt that there's a lot more to Williams. right? I mean, great looking guy, right? I mean, without a doubt, great looking guy. Got the size. I mean, the look, just everything about him, captivating. And every time I see this guy, like I'm stopping what I'm doing always, and I'm trying to see what he's going to do and everything. So I don't know. I got to see how this plays out. Baron Corbin, that is an interesting one. It really, really is, because when you stop and you think about the fact that we lost Xavier Woods, we lost Kofi Kingston, we almost lost our truth, right? Um, Man, they got rid of the Wyatt Six. Like, we got rid of all these people. All these people got essentially traded away for one Baron Corbin. I mean, that's kind of how I'm looking at it, right? It almost kind of feels like you being that kid at the what is it? It's lunchtime. You're on the playground with your friends, and for me back in the day, it was the I think it was by Flair, the Marvel trading cards, and there I am, I got like a freaking Venom hologram card, and somebody's like, "Yo, I will trade you for that one hologram. You got a Venom," and I'm like, nah, I'm good, yo. Like, are you sure? Like, yeah, nah, I'm really good, right? But you know, thanks for trying, right? Um, that's the weird thing. I actually kind of like Baron Corbin. That's the weird thing. Well, it's not weird, but so if you've been a long time listener of mine, one of the things that I had said constantly about Baron Corbin was WWE dropped the ball significantly with this guy. I always said that if there was ever a time where Baron Corbin should have been pushed to the moon, said this many times over the years. It was that period where Baron had formed an unlikely alliance with Lacey Evans, and they were feuding against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I remember when Baron did the end of days on Becky. Holy shit, was that mega fucking over? White heat, whole 9 yards. And I just looked at that and I said, yo, if you're WWE, you gotta build off of that. Like, that's gotta count towards something. Like, this guy is definitely on fire at the right time. You gotta capitalize on that. And I had made the pitch, yo, ride that bad boy to whatever pay-per-view where these guys go one-on-one, let Baron get that championship off of Rollins. And then remember, eventually we had a match. I can't think of the pay-per-view it was right now. I don't know why I'm thinking Battleground, but that is likely wrong. So don't quote me on that. But eventually there was a match. It was an intergender match. And I remember Rollins and Becky Lynch's women's and world championship titles were on the line. And the rules were basically simple in this intergender tag match. It was basically, if Baron pins Seth, then both those championships go to Baron and Lacey, right? If Lacey pinned Becky, both championships would go to her and Baron and all that. And they didn't pull the trigger. And I remember doing the post show, and then just off and on over the years, I said, that was your moment. If not then when's your next opportunity, if ever? Like, this was the perfect opportunity, right? So Baron Corbin for me, it's kind of one of those. It's not a hate relationship. It's a love. It's an appreciation, yet kind of for me when it comes to Baron Corbin. So I'm not sure if it was the right decision to put the United States Championship on Baron Corbin. I really I can't tell you right now. I can't. But if you wanted to spin it for me in a way where it's like, look, Trick really hasn't had a suitable threat towards his reign. Here is that person. Here is that person that you could essentially have Tricky chase after for a couple of months and really get the crowd even more in his favor as a result. Because Baron Corbin is just the one you love to hate, to quote a Rob Halford song. if that's what WWE Creative is thinking right here, I'm willing to ride this out and see where they go with it and all that. If that's what they're thinking in the short term and all that. But as it stands right now, as far as the match itself between both men, I gotta tell you, I was a little bit concerned. Legit, I was a little bit concerned. I was expecting to see a lot of stiffness going on in this match, because it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, okay, Baron hasn't really been back that long, and is the chemistry really going to sync up between these two guys? And they actually complemented each other very, very well. I gotta say, I was looking at this match, and I honestly was expecting to go, this is kind of SmackDown quality main event, WWE speed kind of low point of the night. That was the direction that I thought I was going to be going in and all that. I know some people may feel different. Some people may look at this match and they may feel like, this kind of felt like the main event of SmackDown for this week. But no, I thought they really had stepped it up a little bit more for my personal liking. By the way, I got to take some brownie points off of the ending for this match. That was just the lamest, shittiest ending to. I mean, they did this spot with Lil Yachty, and basically Baron Corbin had grabbed the United States Championship from outside of the ring. He was getting ready to use it on Trick when Lil Yachty jumps up on the apron. I don't know where the referee is at this point. I don't know, incapacitated, whatever. Who eating a sandwich, right? Using the bathroom. I don't know what the hell's going on with the referee. Wasn't the first time a referee was MIA tonight, too. More on that in a little bit. Anyway, so Lil Yachty grabbing on the championship. Baron is like, actually, the ref was checking on Trick. Yeah, that's what was going on. Ref did kind of see what was going on between Baron and Yachty. Now that I'm thinking about it, but see, Baron ended up pushing Lil Yachty into the Slim Jim table, sent him crashing. And Yachty, it was like a half-ass crash through the Slim Jim table. I'm like, yo, if you're gonna commit, actually fucking commit. Like, put yourself all into that bad boy. And we've heard, even making your rounds on the wrestling beat, how Yachty's been training at the Performance Center and all this other good stuff. And Lil Yachty just going through there. You're like, he's okay. He really didn't crash through there, so he's all right. Meanwhile, Tricky is looking on as if he just watched his dog get run over by a bicycle or something. I mean, he's just looking like, and I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. Any other time we've seen Tricky go, damn, sucks to be you, and he just keeps on about his business. But like, here he's just like, it's a glitch in the system, and he's frozen as fuck. Baron pretty much capitalizes on that, sets him up for the belt shot, as I guess the ref was checking on Yachty, or was distracted by what happened with Yachty crashing through the Slim Jim table. Baron, cheap shot over the head with the championship to Tricky, sets him up for the end of days. Boom, 1, 2, 3. There's your new champion there in Baron Corbin. But this is where they're going. This is what they've done. Y'all can feel how you want to feel about Baron Corbin. We'll see what happens in the short term. Again, if this is a case where they're just trying to have Tricky chase after a really good heel for the championship, I mean, I'm okay with that. But I still kind of find it a little bit questionable. Yeah, because it's like, well, not for nothing, but we had Tricky and Sami Zayn in a pretty entertaining program, where Sami was more than happy to pretty much be the bad guy and all of that, right? And so I was just shaking my head in approval. I love this. I also was immediately thinking about WWE Unreal and Road Dog Jesse James and Michael. And I need to hip you guys to this because y'all missed out. So during this match, like right at the start of this match, Michael Cole had said that Rhea Ripley is out indefinitely, which is why they're doing this match. Now, here's the thing with that. If Rhea Ripley and God bless her, I hope she has a speedy recovery and all of that. But if you're saying this woman is out indefinitely, which is just buzzwords for me, then why are we going the interim route? Why not just go, hey, and I wish this would have happened instead, because as soon as I heard Michael Cole say she's out indefinitely, I thought Michael Cole was getting ready to say this was for crowning a interim champion because we just don't know when Rhea Ripley is going to be back. She could be back in a month. She could be back in 2 months. We just don't know. So, but like I, as soon as I heard Michael Cole go out indefinitely, I swear to you guys, I thought he was going to say, as a result, this was supposed to be for the interim, but now it's officially, we're getting a full blown official new SmackDown Women's Champion. Well, we didn't get that. So instead, it's like, oh, we're crowning a intern. So I don't know if that was Michael Cole kind of just doing his own thing or if that's what was fed to him. But I didn't like how that was all set up. Was not a fan of that whatsoever. So I know that WWE, I get it. Trust me. Like, okay, we've seen Rhea Ripley be stripped of the championship before, or rather, she had to relinquish it. Like, we get that. Like, we get that. But this is kind of one of those times where you go, yeah, but there's no telling when she's going to be back, right? Like, there's no telling when she's going to be back. So, like, what the hell? So that's my whole thoughts on that. I know a lot of you guys were kind of tripping over the word intern, but just go back if you missed that with Michael Cole. Go back and watch that match right at the start. Listen to Michael Cole because y'all might have missed that, right? But I like the way this had played out. Um, insane, crazy spots that went down there throughout this ladder match and everything. Lash Legend having some really cool ass moments. I love when she was squaring off against Jade Cargill a couple of times. I love how the way the match was laid. They teased it for a little bit. These two were going to cross paths. Then when they finally did, like, ooh, right? You're looking at that going, yo, under the right circumstances, this would really be a good, potentially a good WrestleMania match, or this would be a really, it's amazing too how, and I don't know if anybody else was really taken back by this, but it's amazing how when you had Lash in there, how she just towers over all the women. I mean, she in the most positive way, like who's that lady? Right? You're seeing all these women in the ring. You're like, who's that? What's her story? Because I mean, damn, was she like an American gladiator or something? Like, you want to say pro wrestler, and you're like, yeah, that chick definitely fits the bill. And then I'll see you on that point I just made and raise you one even higher. When we finally did get Lash and Jade in her own respected right is a big girl, right? That's a big powerhouse muscle woman in her own right. But even she kind of looked like a little dwarf compared to Lash Legend, right? That's really hard to do. You got to admit that. That's really, really hard to do. And Charlotte Flair, for those of you that have had the opportunity to see Charlotte Flair in person for a meet and greet, or maybe you went to a live house show or whatever, Charlotte is pretty tall. She's pretty tall. So to have Lash like even tower over, right? So thought that was kind of cool. And somebody had brought up a good point, and I like totally have forgot about that. But let's not forget that Lash Legend used to be a basketball player, just like Nia Jax, just like Raquel Rodriguez, uh, just like even Jay Cargill, just like even Bailey, right? So which has me going, hey, WWE, what would be really, really cool? Why don't you have all of those girls team up and form a little basketball team, right? I would love to see them do something maybe at the Boys and Girls Club, right? do a little tour city to city. I'd love to see all those girls I just mentioned take on a team from the Boys and Girls Club. Maybe eventually you could do some type of a crossover with the WNBA. I mean, that'd be a great 1-2 punch and everything. But no, love this match. Right person definitely went over here in this one. Um, for me, I thought this was a really good example of I thought this was a really good example of when you have the right participants in the right setting, right? And you give everybody clear directives. Because the thing that was most surprising to me about this matchup, I'm surprised that it wasn't a clusterfuck. Because let's be real, you definitely had some greenness in there. I'm looking at you, Jade. You're coming along, but I'm looking at you still. I'm looking at Lash, right? I'm looking at those two. Charlotte, I'm not worried. I wasn't worried about ever. Chelsea, she's had her fair share, but I'm kind of sorry, Chelsea. But sometimes there's been some freak accidents, right? Sometimes there's been some freak accidents for Chelsea and everything. So I'm kind of wheezing when I see Chelsea in certain spots and all of that, right? I'm surprised this was not a clusterfuck, right? Wasn't what I was hoping for. I wasn't wishing for it. I'm just surprised there was not a clusterfuck in this one. And for y'all that's curious, because I know this question is probably going to be asked. So, Lee, did you enjoy this match more than the match with the Bellas, Paige versus Fatal Influence? Yes, 1,000%. Yes, I enjoyed what we got tonight much more than what we got night one of everything. Green for some people may have felt like a surprising choice, but for a lot of us that were just kind of looking at the story arc, looking at all the participants, it's kind of like it almost felt like a no-brainer for us that we're like, no, Chelsea Green. If you're gonna go interim, why not go with Chelsea Green? Like, what the hell? What the hell have you got to lose? The word is interim. Like, come on, man. Seriously, seriously. Intern, go there, right? So it's good that they went in this direction. Now it's just a matter of time, right, before the actual champion shows up, and then we get a one-on-one match where okay, this is officially now for the championship, for the title. No more of the word intern. Let's see what you're going to be able to do here now. Can you truly rise to the occasion and all that other good stuff? It sucks that BFAB and Mishin, when they got involved, right when it seemed like Chelsea was about to get the job done, and they came in there, I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, man, where's Alexa Bliss? Like, I thought Alexa Bliss was usually lurking around, and then I was like, man, what a perfect time for Piper Nevin to maybe, right? Still wish we had Piper Nevin. I still wish who's the other girl? Red hair. I can't think of her name right now, but they got rid of her. And I thought she was pretty good too, and all of that, but they got rid of her, and I was like, damn. So like that all just kind of made me go, shit, it's not going to be Chelsea. But then when they did the whole battle towards the end where they were fighting on opposite sides of the multiple ladders, what was it, like about 3, 4 ladders that they had set up, right? And everybody's fighting each other and crashing and all that. At that point, I'm going, well, where's Chelsea? What's going on with Chelsea? Sure enough, there's Chelsea just dangling by her legs, somehow rebounds, climbs up the fucking ladder, and becomes the interim champion. By the way, I do see you all's comments that's in the chat. So we can definitely show you guys some love. As I did mention at the top, if you guys watch SummerSlam, you want to join the many folks here that's tuning in right now, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, X/Twitter. Shout out to you guys that's tuning in live right now. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're showing that love, man. Subscribe, all that great jazz helps out a great ton. got a interactive poll that's up right now. So if you want to do a quick drive by, youtube.com/the RCWR show, click on the post section and you can vote that way. Or if you want to just really do a drive by, you can interact on our live poll that's part of our YouTube chat right now. Seeing the results, it's been fluctuating since I've been talking. So far we got a 75-25 split right now I'm seeing for our live poll. So check out the results, see what you think, cast your vote, sound off all that. Let's get to some of these comments before we go any further into the show. I had some comments displayed, but I didn't react to them yet. So I'm going to deal with them in the order in which I'm seeing some of these comments. Ken is saying they didn't just carry night two, but carried the entire SummerSlam. Ken, I'm glad you feel that way. Seriously, like legit, you can make an argument that when you're looking at night two for SummerSlam, there's definitely many aspects where you go, man, like this card was kind of better than night one. Like, yeah, you could definitely make a really good argument that night two is better than night one. Or if you want to just go, some people may go, well, look, if I have to choose between Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, I mean, don't make me do that because 1 was really, really good on its own, and 2 is really, really good on its own. And don't you dare mention 3, right? The 3, that's a unique delicacy. Right there. That's a unique delicacy. Let's see here. Shout out to Alex. I think we see Trick in the ladder match next month. He won't win though. Are you talking about Money in the Bank? Is that maybe what you're talking about? Because just to kind of give you and everybody else at home an update on the upcoming PLEs that WWE has coming up. So next up is going to be NXT Heatwave, which is going to be on August 31st from Texas. And then from there, let me look here. Sunday night's main event, that'll be happening September 6th in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena. After that, September 26th at the Rosemount, in Rosemount, Illinois, All-State Arena will be Worlds Collide. And then from there, October 10th is going to be Money in the Bank. That's what's going to be happening there. So if you think there's going to be a Trick in the ladder match next month, I'm curious what you mean by that. Are you seeing something play out on television, or like specifically you're thinking maybe Sunday's main event, or are you picturing something at Money in the Bank, or neither? You're picturing something maybe on SmackDown. You gotta definitely I gotta probe you and find out what you mean by that. See what else we got here. When Rhea comes back with the Real Championship, the pop will be huge. Rhea was starting to get stale. She needed this absence. See, here's Alex, here's what was making Rhea kind of stale, unfortunately. Too, I do agree with your point, too, by the way. I do agree with your point 1,000%. I feel personally what was kind of happening with Rhea Ripley, it's no different from what we've been talking about on this show for the past couple of months, which is okay, that's cool if the TV executives are like, hey, can we see more of this person, and or can we see more of this person? And we kind of understand at the end of the day, Rhea eventually transplanted over to SmackDown. Like we get that. They needed the star power, especially from the female standpoint. They needed a refresher and all of that. And I just feel that if it was not for Rhea's injury, we definitely would have seen her lock it up with Fatal Influence. That's what I personally feel. I think they would have been running havoc. They would have been making life very, very difficult for Rhea Ripley and everything. That's why with Rhea being, and then here's the other thing that, and then I was talking about this too for the past couple of months, which is when you're WWE and you're not the powers that be that's going, okay, look, we got this person in this position, and that's great. That's great. We got a QB1 women's champion here, but like who's our QB2? Who's our third string quarterback? Push come to shove, and we need a fourth string. Who are they? They spent so much time, creative heads and all that. They spent so much time mainly focusing on first string. They really did not build up second and third string, and they paid for it dearly. We can count the many ways quietly to ourselves. You know what I say is true, which now that we've done this shakeup, where we've got Fatal Influence over here, and we got Royce Keys, aka Powerhouse Hobbs, and then we transferred Jacob Fatu over to Raw and everything. We got Chad Gable back, and all of that good stuff. Now it's a situation where it's like, okay, now we're finally starting to kind of get back to that point where it really is okay, next man and woman up and all that, right? So yeah, when she gets back, definitely the pop is going to be huge, and all of that. But make no mistake about it, that's great for the return, but it don't mean shit if you have not learned from your past mistakes, WWE, and emphasize the importance of, okay, we got to make sure that we got our first string, we got our second string, we got our third string, we got our fourth string. Hell, we even got a fifth string, right? It's so funny. I remember, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, because me and my wife were huge NFL fans. And I remember she asked me a question one day. I think it had something to do with her Washington Commanders because she's been a Washington Commanders fan. I mean, when she was born, Washington Commanders memorabilia on her and all of that stuff, right? And somehow we got on the subject of kickers, and she was telling me how one of her kickers she wasn't really sure about. She didn't think they were going to last that long in Washington or something like that. And we started getting on the topic of injuries. This ties back to wrestling, by the way. Stay with me. And I said to her, I asked her, I said, do you know what happens when your kicker gets injured, or just the kicker for any of those teams? She was like, do you know what typically happens as far as the chain of command, like who's going to kick next? She was like, "No, I just thought if you lost your kicker like that, that basically was it." Like, I said, "Oh, no, no, no. On the contrary." And I had to walk her through the different people that would replace the primary kicker, And so I was like, okay, so if your primary kicker gets injured, then it's gonna go to your punter. Your punter then becomes, assumes the role of the kicker. And she was like, "Oh, okay. So what happens if the punter gets taken out?" I said, "Oof, like heaven forbid." I said, "Well, if your punter gets taken out, I said it's possible that your one of your string quarterbacks, not your first string." I said, but if you got a roster that's got a lot of depth to it, and you're fortunate enough to have three or four quarterbacks, then it's probably going to be QB4 or QB3 that's maybe going to slide in there for the kicker's position and all that. She was like, "Oh, okay." So, WWE, like, I hate to use the sports terminology, but hey, since they're in bed with ESPN and, worldwide leader in sports and all that, it suits the analogy that I'm pretty much putting out there to you guys. That's how they got to be thinking to pretty much avoid this. And you're thinking Money in the Bank in September. Yeah, that's possible. Let Tricky chase after Baron that long going into Money in the Bank. I could see that. I could definitely sing that. I could definitely see that. JC Jane or Blake Monroe winning Money in the Bank. Let's talk about that on Monday. What I will definitely do, I will put that. Give me a second here. Because that's actually a really good one. That's actually a really good one. I'm trying to see if I can somehow copy. I tell you what, let me do this. So I'm taking a screenshot of that comment, Alex, and I want to go more in depth on that one for the Monday show. So hang on here. Let me take a screenshot of that. Cause that'd be a good thing to circle back to. They got a little bit though before that. They got a little bit though before that Money in the Bank. Because again, they're going to do NXT Heat Wave, then they're going to do Worlds Collide, Sunday night's main event, and then they do. And remember, Worlds Collide. That's going to be an upcoming show for AAA and WWE. So Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AAA, they all are going to be combining for that special show. So you notice that's why I can't, because I just like I can't really, because I got to see how they're going to do that Worlds Collide and everything. That's pretty much going to be their own little forbidden door, if you will, and all of that. So, but as far as Money in the Bank goes, we'll talk more about that on the Monday show. A lot more we got to get to here for SummerSlam. All right, next up. Oof. I won't be spending as much time on this. Dominik Mysterio taking on Danhausen, the Human Monies on a pole match. Bro, fucking go over, bro. Just watch. Just watch. Remember, I did Viagra on the pole match, bro. We got a huge viewership, bro. Listen to me, bro. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for 40 years. You can see what I'm doing right now in JCW, bro. I know what I'm talking about. I'm at a loss for words. This was a waste of fucking time. I seriously, this match was a waste. Look, I love the comedic stuff. I love the outside the box type of thinking. Hell, I didn't get a chance to talk on it on the last show that we did, and I was greatly disappointed. I loved the episode of TNA Impact from last week where the Righteous faced the Hardys in a ultimate deletion match at the Hardy compound. That shit was good. I love that. I did not get a chance to sing the praises of that match at all. I teased that I was going to talk about it, did not talk about it though. That was good, right? So, and I watched JCW a lot. They got a lot of fun, wacky little crazy shit that I'm into. This shit with Danhausen, this whole angle with Danhausen, Judgment Day. Look, if it's tickled your fanny, kudos to you. It ain't tickled me. It ain't give me no gyrations. It ain't give me no good vibrations. It ain't do shit for me. I ain't even get a rumble in the tummy, right? I ain't even get the bubble guts, right? It ain't doing nothing for me. Okay? It ain't working. It ain't working. I was expecting more. I thought maybe we were gonna kind of go, and I'll tell you exactly what I thought we were gonna get. I thought maybe we were gonna go in a Looney Tunes kind of direction with this matchup. And for me, I thought we were kind of on to something when they showed the money in a bag and it was hanging up on a pole. And the way the money bag looked, it screamed Looney Tunes. It just had like the most stupidest looking, I'm like, oh. And I was expecting for there to be a whole bunch of Willy Wonka type fun prop type of bullshit that was going to be going on in this one. So I guess I don't know. Maybe my bar was a little bit too high. I don't know. Was the bar a little high for you guys with this one as far as the entertainment value goes? But the entertainment value here was it just was not here. It's so interesting because I was talking with some folks in a server during this match, and I pointed out, wow, like no one's really reacting to Danhausen. Like from the moment that he came out for his entrance and all of that. And he came out on a little small truck or whatever, golf cart, whatever you want to call it. He came out, and somebody had said to me, Interesting, there's like a decent amount of people that's wearing the shirts, but there's not really people that's jumping up and down. And another person had said, "Hey, I'm actually here at the event." There's the Danhausen's got a definitely a quite a few people uh representing with the merch. But yeah, like he's not really getting any reactions here. And I'm live in the crowd. I'm like, whoa, right? I think they hoard this dude out. Pimping ain't easy. They really pimp this dude out big time. If you go on my Twitter page right now, I've got this funny ass image of Danhausen. I'll gladly share it on the Monday show. But I've got this image because I don't know why, but it just popped in my head. I was picturing Danhausen eating a bag of Doritos, and the shit just said, "Ah, Doritos Hausen, yes, yes. Now with more chips, yes, yes. Cheap plugs, less quality. Doritos Hausen, yes, yes, yes." So there's an image. You go on my ex Twitter page right now. Danhausen eating a bag of fucking Doritos, and it's Doritos Hausen. That's just how I feel about this. It's just more cheap plugs, just whatever we can do to hoard this guy out there and feed that algorithm the attention and all of that, the watch time, whatever we can do to feed that beast. That's what it's about because this dude's printing money and all that other shit. I felt so tortured by this segment. I would have preferred it if I would have watched 20 minutes of movie previews. This has to be the one time. One thing I hate when I go to the movies, and if you want to just drive me crazy, right? Just ask me about movie trailers. I hate the fact that I can pussyfoot around almost to the last goddamn minute. Hey babe, the movie starts at noon, but I'm thinking by the time we get there by about 12:15, we'll be all right. We'll get through the trailers. You think so? Yeah, yeah, we'll get through the trailers. Come in that bitch, and nope, nope. By the time we sit down, they're just getting started showing the fucking trailers. Like, oh, son of a bitch. 20 minutes later. I would rather watch the 20 plus minutes of trailers than this match that I had went through. I hope that we can be done with Dirty Dom, JD McDonough, the whole Judgment Day. I just want them to be as far away from this judgment, from this Danhausen. Like I just want. It's not shit that Danhausen is putting out there. Like I understand the general thumbnail ideas that creative is trying to do here for Danhausen, but it needs more flushing out, right? And my challenge to WWE at this point would be, okay, maybe you guys should try to see if you can tap into some former Saturday Night Live or maybe even some Mad TV writers and hire them specifically for coming up with entertaining material for Danhausen, right? Because if you're gonna keep leaning into this, then you got to do the right thing, especially by Danhausen, right? You want the guy to continue to be successful and ultimately printing you a shit ton of money, right? Okay, well then arm him as best as humanly possible, and the way you arm Danhausen is you put a really great team behind him of writers that's their job. All they're doing is writing out materials for this guy. And I would put the challenge out there. Look, let's write some shit out that's good enough for this guy for not just the next month. Let's write some really good stuff for him for the next 3 months. Let's really set it up like that for him, right? That's the best way to do it for Danhausen. I don't particularly care for one. Slow it down with the comments, buddy. Slow it down. I see you in the chat. I do recognize you, but I know you're excited, but just kind of slow it down a little bit. Slow it down a little bit. Just slow it down. Give other people a chance to kind of interact too. Um, but I'm really kind of just looking at this stuff with Danhausen And like we don't really need him wrestling like that. That's great that he can wrestle and right. But I was kind of always under the impression with the Danhausen character that when it comes to him wrestling, his back is pushed up against the wall, and it's a case where he has like no other choice. Hang on here. Let's do it like that. He's got no other choice but to, because his back is up against the wall. And when you put Danhausen's back up against the wall, he's got no choice but to wrestle, right? I would personally love to see it if the way Danhausen would wrestle, and this is where a little thing called psychology comes into play here. I'm not saying he's got to be a chicken shit wrestler, but like I would personally love to see it if like, okay, well, Danhausen, when it's all said and done, he's good with the theatrics, he's good with the cloning and doing all kinds of weird shit. He's good at cursing people and all that, right? But when you get him up against the wall and the guy needs to wrestle, this is where he kind of needs to wrestle like a little bit scared or whatever until he's maybe kind of able to get his opponent in a vulnerable position. And I haven't seen that yet with the Danhausen character in WWE. And I mean, there's plenty of really good examples on TV where you can borrow a little something from certain characters on certain TV shows to have Danhausen operate the way that I'm suggesting. I know a lot of you guys, because I see the age demographics, a lot of you guys are older. A lot of you guys are like 25 to 45, right? We got our young core audience too of 18 to 20 something, but like I know a lot of you guys are 20s to 40s, right? Power Rangers, you remember that, right? The original Power Rangers. Remember how Billy, the Blue Ranger, would fight? Apprehensive, a little bit scared, right? He was cool once he transformed into a ranger. But just remember him in civilian clothing, right? I mean, he was always scared and everything, right? He tried to do everything he could to not fight. Back would be up against the wall. And if he had to throw it down, then it was kind of like he'd be kind of using his wits or whatever, right? I'd like to see Danhausen kind of wrestle a little bit more like that, right? A little bit more like that. That's a good start. But no, this right here, what they did, I didn't care for this. I'm continuing to look at Dominik Mysterio, and I'm going, what the hell are they doing to my boy? Like seriously, what the hell are they doing to my boy? It sucked, man. It really sucked. I gave this match more than enough time. But before we go to our next matchup, because at this point we only got two more matches to talk about. We got our Intercontinental Championship, and then we've got the Raw World Championship there. Let's catch up on some more of these comments here that's going on. All right, where are we here? And by the way, I'm still watching the live poll via YouTube. If you guys have not interacted yet, hop in there and cast your vote. I am watching the bad boy. It's now 83 to 17 way it's fluctuating right now. So nice little update. Let's see, where are we? Alex, I see you. So when Judgment Day ends, JD ends up like Carlito and gets. Why would you wish that evil, Alex? Like seriously. So let me tell you something. Here on this show, we don't, and I'm not going to try to say that you're wishing, like if you're just asking a legit question, I'll answer it like no problem. But like I personally, and longtime listeners can back me up on this, I love JD. JD is a phenomenal fucking wrestler. Any and everything that is asked of him to do. I mean, this guy, how many times have we seen this guy in the last year and a half, like literally go out, bust his fucking ass? He's taking some really nasty bumps. That is a tough son of a bitch. No, no. That would be a huge mistake for WWE if they were to let JD go. Look, not everybody is going to be a world heavyweight champion. Not everyone is going to be a main eventer. There are some talents that you look at and you go, okay, look, I really need for somebody to I really need for somebody to go in here and really work this guy. I really need a undercard sleeper hit match of the night. JD, you're it. Go out there and see what you can do for me. Right? JD is that guy. If I am not mistaken, longtime listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think you guys even voted. I gotta look at the results. But for like 2 years in a row, I know I sung the praises of JD to the point where I say, yo, he's the dark horse. He's the male dark horse of the year. And I gave him that title for 2 years in a row for all the work that he's been putting in. So no, um, they would be stupid. If I were to start up a wrestling promotion tomorrow, JD McDonough is one of the first people. He's not the first, but he's definitely one of the first people I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call and I'm going to say, yo, starting up a promotion. I want you. I want you to be part of it. Right. I mean, that is a great utility player. That is a great plug and play. Like if I need somebody for tag, like he's the guy. If I need somebody for just, I just need to kill 7 minutes. Can you go out there and do a little something for me? I just do some bubblegum bullshit. Okay, I need you to go in there and put in a 15-minute fucking banger. That's JD. Um, that is definitely a future Intercontinental champion, a future United States champion. If you maybe want to have him go back to NXT, and that's definitely a future NXT champion. Um, if you even maybe want to have him kind of really pay it forward and help out in Evolve, and really kind of help take Evolve to that next level, that's even an Evolve champion as well. There's a lot you can do as far as plugging and playing with JD. Let's see. Now getting back to Juan. And if you see that I put you in timeout, don't take it personal, guys. I just want to give everybody an opportunity to comment. But like it's not really me trying to comment on you. I want to give you guys an opportunity to interact with each other. So when you're coming into the chat, like I love the energy that you bring, but just kind of slow it down. Like I can see as soon as you put a comment in there. So there's no reason to do a a bunch of posts in succession. Like just chilling and give me an opportunity, and I'll definitely show you some love. Promise, I'll show you some love. Greetings to you, Juan from Chile. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing good as well. Yeah, when I check out the analytics for the show from overseas, I definitely see around that region. Always always getting love from that area. Let's see here. And then from there, Juan is going into the results. Okay. Let's see. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So Juan, we're caught up on you. All right, cool. No Braun Breaker at SummerSlam. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. They really need to figure out what the hell they need to do going forward. Like, what's the outlook? And you can tell that WWE right now doesn't know what the hell they're doing with Braun Breaker. And rightfully so, because it's kind of like a touch and go situation. I mean, not for nothing, but like the guy's got injured how many times now? And whatever was potentially going to happen for him creatively, they've pretty much had to pump the brakes on that. And so if they want to do a wait and see approach right now with the man, like I totally get that. I totally fucking get that. All right, next up. Oh, by the way, that last matchup, by the way, between Danhausen and crew, that was 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Next up, we had a 10-minute match. Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental Championship there against Penta. Love seeing the badass celebration that went down afterwards where Gable's kids, wife, and other family members came into the ring celebrating and all that. Loved it. Really cool. Chad, like legit crying, winning the Intercontinental Championship. I loved it. I love this was a good match. If there was one match I would look at from night two and say, hey, this was a sleeper hit match of the night, I definitely would say, yeah, Chad Gable, Penta, definitely, that's the match. Yeah, and look, all the great work that Chad did down there in AAA, just, I mean, we can really count the ways here for this matchup. I mean, because leading up to it, you think about how, wow, what a journey. You think about how when we were first introduced to Chad Gable and he had the long hair, all that stuff, and you're like, yeah, I see a little something here, but I'm not really sure. This could be a one-hit wonder. Like legit, this could be a one-hit wonder, right? Then when he cut the hair, you're going, we got us a little young Kurt Angle in the making here, right? And then they went with under the Vince McMahon regime, the whole Shorty G. Like, this is the best that we could come up with, like Shorty G. Like, what the hell, right? And I don't know if that was always Vince McMahon's plan of like, let's give this guy a shitty ass name that'll have people talking. It'll be memorable. It'll stick in their heads as we're trying to. But it just really seemed like there was only but like a certain level that was seen in Chad Gable, and so to eventually see him go the route that he did, and I gotta say, I didn't mind the stuff with Alpha Academy. I did not mind the stuff with Alpha Academy whatsoever. I actually thought that when he had Tozawa, Otis, in his corner and all that, I thought for sure that was going to be like not just Intercontinental Championship, but I also thought it was going to be potentially World Championship because it's like, okay, well, you got two World Championships that's at play, right? Surely, like he's going to be in a position where he can get either one of those, but it just wasn't meant to be. And there was definitely a part of me as a fan that was like, yo, oh, if this guy leaves WWE, because remember that with all the reports that was floating around, like, contract was coming up, and it's like, ugh. And yet he stayed with WWE. And I would just love to know. Maybe eventually we'll know. I don't know if that'll come from an interview with Ariel Hawani or if that'll come from an interview with Chris Van Vliet. Uh, but like I would just love to know like how close, seriously, was Chad Gable to go and you know what? I just wanna enough is enough. I just wanna test the waters elsewhere and everything. And when he re-signed, I was expecting big things to happen for him. And when it seemed like it wasn't happening, it was like, fuck, is this a fool's errand that we're seeing going on here with Chad Gable? What the hell? And then where I was convinced that like, nah, Triple H, Paul Levesque ain't forget about this dude. We're turning a corner for the better here. It's pretty much when they had Chad Gable pretty much running around just bad mouthing everybody in Alpha Academy, and you're like, okay, that's only gonna go but so far. Sooner or later, you're gonna alienate these people so much that they basically are gonna be like, fuck this, fuck you, I don't need this shit, piss off, right? And I love how he was able to ultimately go down to the AAA promotion and pretty much reinvent himself, right? I mean, it's a great fucking story. It really is. And basically take all of that from AAA, bring it back up to the main roster, and all of that. And what was kind of hurting him for just a hot little bit, just a hot little bit, was when he was continuing to circle around Alpha Academy there, and Maxine Dupree, right? I felt I understood they were trying to have him do the apology tour, but I wanted for that to just okay, be in, be out of that, right? Don't get too into the weeds of that, right? So to have him mainly focus on chasing after singles championship, and he gets that intercontinental championship there. Good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. The man's been on the roll of a lifetime so far, and when it really counted the most to win something, he finally was able to do that. I mean, this dude's been chasing this Intercontinental Championship for like forever, right? And we got to give Penta a lot of props. Penta has been a damn good fighting champion. Um, what he has been able to do in the year plus that he has been with the WWE, you couldn't have wrote that shit any better, right? Closest you could come is like when you're loading up 2K, right? But like legit, the man's been on one hell of a run, overnight sensation. That is Penta in a nutshell, right? So nice classic matchup that these two guys here had here. I'll tell you what's next. I might not be a fan of Chad Gable kind of mingling there with Maxine Dupree and all of that, but I just feel that's exactly what's coming down the pipeline. I think it's only a matter of time before I can see it. The writing is on the wall. I can see Austin Theory challenging Chad Gable for that Intercontinental Championship, and ultimately Theory gets that championship off of Gable. That's the direction that I think is going to be happening. I don't want to say further down the line. I think it's a case where it could happen much sooner rather than later. Could it potentially happen, say, by Money in the Bank that the trigger is pulled there on Gable? I mean, we're talking about October. It's possible. It's very, very possible that it could happen before that. Before that. But I definitely see Gable being a fighting champion to the point that I would be shocked if it was a case where for the next consecutive weeks of Monday Night Raw, Gable wasn't defending that championship, right? I that's the kind of champion I see Chad Gable being, where it's like, yo, you want some? Like, come on. I can see it being a case where with Gable as the champion, I can definitely see Raw closing out a couple of times with that Intercontinental Championship. So if they want to maybe give Roman a little breather, that's fine. We'll have Chad Gable who can pretty much, and that would be my challenge to WWE. While Roman Reigns is going to be running off, getting ready to promote Street Fighter and any other media obligations that he has going on, or just the way he's got his contract set up and all of that shit, those days where he's absent, now your goal is okay, we got Chad Gable right here. He's our Intercontinental Champion. This is our fucking Kurt Angle right now. Let's really go all in on Chad Gable. This is going to be our centerpiece. You want to build him up to the point that when it comes time for Money in the Bank, because the way I would do this right now, if I'm WWE, I'm going to build up Chad Gable so goddamn good that if I am going to ultimately have him, and I will have him involved at Worlds Collide. I will have him involved at Worlds Collide. If it's a case where maybe I have him and Grande Americano run it back, but this time it's going to be for the Intercontinental Championship, do it. Do it, WWE. If you want to make Worlds Collide really fucking pop and you're going to be doing it on American soil, you kind of get what I'm saying with that, but you get the gist. You're going to be doing that in front of a really great wrestling crowd of Chicago, and Chicago knows all their wrestling. They know their lucha libre. Like, take it from me. Not only am I a Chicago native, was in Chicago some years back. They know their wrestling. Trust me. This is the right crowd to do that in front of if you want to have Gable, Grande run it back, right? So that there's your match right there. But shortly afterwards, if you maybe want to do something where Gable loses the Intercontinental Championship shortly after that, that way he can just kind of have his eyes set on Money in the Bank, and he ends up being one of the participants for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. But you got to build him up right now so that he is a fighting champion. And what better way to cut a promo than basically be saying like, yo, we got a world champion that pretty much decides when he wants to work and all that other shit. Meanwhile, I've been here busting my ass every single fucking week, right? It's a great way to do it. I mean, it's right there for the take in WWE. You just gotta go all in on it and everything. Penta is gonna be okay for you Penta fans out there. Penta is gonna be just fine. He will rebound quite nicely from this defeat. And in regards to Penta, I honestly look, not for nothing, but we know that Penta has continued to kind of been, feuding there a little bit with Ethan Page and Rusev. So, maybe you kind of have him continue to be involved in that little mix with Dragon Lee and all that. Or if you really want to kind of spice it up a little bit and you want to do something with your tag team division, now maybe more than ever is that time where you reunite Penta with his brother, and maybe let them go after the tag team titles for a little bit, build up your tag division, especially if you're trying to do it in time for your Worlds Collide event. And then maybe shortly after, if you want to have Penta, maybe go for one of those Money in the Bank qualifying spots, right? You could have him go in that direction. But Penta, we haven't seen the last of him in the singles main event picture and all of that. And I don't want you guys looking at, oh man, tag division. Like, don't look at that as a demotion. Not if you're doing it in a way where you're really trying to do due diligence and building up your tag division and all of that. So that's how I'm looking at that one. Good match, though. Definitely a good match. That one had ran 10 minutes. All right, we got one more match to talk about. This is your last call. If you haven't gotten in your votes yet, get in your votes. Let me know what you had thought about tonight's WWE SummerSlam Night 2 event. All right, get it in, get it in, get it in. All right, one more match to talk about. 30 minutes for the World Championship over on the Raw side. Roman Reigns defending against Seth Rollins. We heard all these weird numbers that was going around about like how many times these men have faced one another. The last stat that I saw was something like they faced each other 10 times and it's tied up. That was like the last thing I kind of saw. So it was like, look, they definitely have faced each other quite a good number of times and everything, right? Um, my main concern about this matchup, and I had talked about this for a couple of weeks, was what is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins gonna do to really make this match stand out in the most positive way there is? What are they going to do to let fans know, hey, if you're just sleeping on this match and you think like we're just gonna dial into our usual shit, like you guys are kind of sadly mistaken. We're really gonna be going all balls out here. And we're gonna put on a fucking classic for you guys. Just wait and watch, right? If you're thinking about skipping this match, we're gonna make you regret that decision. I gotta say, this was a damn good match. Like legit, this was a damn good match. I kind of felt like I was ready to pull a Bret Hart watching a Triple H match. I thought I was going to be going in a same shit as always. Just the same goddamn moves. I was ready to go a Bret Hart route, but no, they told a fascinating, riveting story in this and everything. I gotta say though, I didn't appreciate the way Seth Rollins was dressed. He looked like a goddamn fruit roll up. And then when I looked away and then I look back at him, I'm like, no, he's no longer looking like a fucking fruit roll up, a big old box of fruit roll ups. Yeah. No, he's not looking like that anymore. Now he's looking like a goddamn pinata. Like literally, all I needed was a kendo stick to go to town on his ass. Um, you know, and somewhere buried in all that, he was pushing a white shield vest and he was wearing the Shield mask and all that. And I was almost kind of paying homage there to Dean Ambrose, aka John Moxley, and all that. Yeah, this match went 30 minutes, right? And you hear that and you go, oof. But you got to remember at this point, we had got 50 minutes of in-ring action, right? 50 minutes of in-ring action. So when you add the fact that these guys went 30 minutes, number one, you're going, well, hey, not for nothing. The CM Punk Cody Rhodes match, it kind of wasn't that good for certain reasons. And then number two, Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, they only went like 10 to 11 minutes for their Hell in a Cell match. What the hell? So this was a nice, fine little way to put a book in, not just on your main event, but on, but for SummerSlam weekend and everything. Final moments of this matchup, the referee gets taken out. And then yeah, I got to go to my notes on this one because when the referee got taken out, that's when this shit really had hit the fan here. I'm trying to go back to that spot where the ref is taken out. I'm looking at my notes here. A lot of trash talking was going on between these two. Another spear, Rollins hitting a spear of his own for a two count. Then there was a buckle bomb, which was a great setup for Rollins as he was looking for the stomp. Only Reigns managed to reverse that and hits those two moves. Yeah, so yeah, he's like literally stealing from Rollins there. That was a near fall, and they are both just talking mad trash at one another. I ate this up big time, followed by a couple of strikes at one another. Referee gets bumped in the process. Reigns hits a double arm DDT. That's where we get Cole basically saying, yo, homage to the third Shield member. Like, okay, it's the paradigm shift. Yeah, John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, we get that. Not being named. We get it, right? Then a spear attempt is made. Referee gets taken out inadvertently by that spear. Rollins stomps Reigns again. They're both down for a bit. Rollins then grabs a chair, which Reigns knocks away from him. Reigns is thinking about using that same chair, but then he decides, nah, I'm not going to win it this way. This ain't how I want to do it. Yeah, this be some really sweet revenge, but nah. I need to do this on my terms. I need to do this cleanly. I need to do this one-on-one, right? That's what Reigns is thinking here. So he tosses it. They forearm the shit out of each other. Rollins slapping him to keep it going. Romans follows up with a Superman punch. Doesn't knock Rollins down as he basically reverses the spear, turns it into a pedigree, follows up with a stomp that misses. Then there is actually Rollins ends up missing that, but then he goes for another stomp. Then he goes up to the top rope, tries to hit an avalanche stomp. Roman hits a spear, then he bounces off of the ropes, hits another spear that connects. Roman Reigns retains the World Championship that way. Post match, real classy. Roman Reigns realizing that he had been through hell with his former Shield brother. He sticks out the fist, kind of hitting that Shield pose. Roman waiting on Rollins. What Rollins gonna do here? Rollins reluctantly comes to his feet, grabs that little mask that he was wearing earlier, puts it in the middle of the ring, does the fist dab there for representing the Shield. And we have Michael Cole basically say the feud is over. That basically this is it. They've pretty much buried the hatchet, right? They have faced each other for perhaps the final time and all that, right? So Roman Reigns has, I don't know if you want to say exonerated himself or he's extinguished this demon that's been inside of him for all these years, whatever you want to call it. But he now has Seth Rollins in the rearview mirror and everything. As Michael Cole had alluded to the fact that Reigns has now tied up all loose ends. Okay, cool. So then what's next? Do we maybe have Roman Reigns kind of circle back to Cody Rhodes there a little bit? Or like, or is maybe Oba Femi in the future for Roman Reigns? Like there's so much that's up in the air right now, like so many unknown variables right now, as we get ready to head into a new week of WWE programming and all that. Just want to think about some other thoughts in regards to this matchup here. Overall show. Good show overall. I'm just thinking about the matches that's on the card. I still feel that this card was slightly better than what we got for night one. Slightly better than what we got for night one. By the way, as far as Minnesota celebrities go, I did jot this down. So over the 2 nights, this is who all like wrestling royalty wise. I don't really care about the athletes and all that other, especially when I don't really know them. They're not really household names, or most wrestling fans aren't going to really know who the fuck they are, right? So check this out. Killer Bees, Brian Blair, Jim Brunzel, the model Rick Martel, AWA Zone, Greg Gagne. And look, if you've been making your rounds checking out various wrestling promotions, you know Greg has been doing his thing with Tony Khan and crew and AEW off and on for a couple of years. So that's really cool and everything. And then also I think Greg even kind of did some stuff briefly there with the NWA and Billy Corgan and them over the years. Molly Holly in attendance. The night before, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart was there. Tonight, did I mention Molly Holly? Molly Holly. I know last night was Mark Henry. Mark Henry is getting skinnier and skinnier. I'm like starting to hardly recognize the guy now. It's fucking hilarious. So that pretty much was it for our celebrities. There wasn't anything as far as wrestling theme / sponsorship tie-in. So remember night one, we had the stage that was kind of decorated with Gears of War props and all that. And we didn't get that tonight. Didn't get none of that. Remember the little Street Fighter thing from last night? We didn't get none of that here tonight. And yet we squeezed out a couple of more minutes of wrestling. 83 minutes tonight. Hang on here, guys. My Ring doorbell just gave me. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's one of my neighbors. All right, we're cool. 79 minutes for night one, in-ring action, 83 minutes tonight, right? So that's an hour, 23 minutes that we got tonight of in-ring action. And the rest of that time pretty much was all about entrances and commercials. I mean, I guess that's a good balance, yeah, to basically say, okay, we almost got to 90 minutes of in-ring action, and we had 30 minutes that pretty much went towards entrances and commercials. That's a nice happy medium. I hope people kind of realize that, because I know that Triple H, Paul Levesque, Nick Khan, and other people, they were like, yo, we know that the commercials are overkill. We're trying to work on it, right? I think that if most of these PLEs end up being exactly what we've gotten the past 2 nights with SummerSlam, I think most fans will be kind of okay with it. Um, Long term, like I think they'll be okay with it. They just got to plan these commercial spots a little better, and I think to their credit, they kind of are doing it a little better. But if you were to make the argument that, yo, it could be even better, I would say, yeah, it definitely could be even better for sure. It could be even better. Uh, let's see. So that's that. Let's see what you guys had to say, polling results wise. This is your time right now to cast your vote if you haven't done so already. And for those of you that maybe are checking out the post show for SummerSlam, the WWE post show, if there's some interesting little news tidbits you want to sprinkle over here, uh, give me a shout real quick. Let me know so we can kind of react to that before we get ready to dip. All right, so I'm actually going to my YouTube channel, looking at the post section that's right next to the playlist. By the way, for night one of WrestleMania, here's how you guys have voted. I'm seeing 50% of you all gave night one a thumbs up, while 28% of you are staying in the middle. 22% of you are giving it a thumbs down. That's for night one. Now, for night two, slightly more votes than our live poll that's part of our chat over on YouTube. Right now, 80% of you are giving SummerSlam Night 2 a thumbs up. And I see a tie at 10%. Half of you are saying staying in the middle, and the other half of you said that you skipping it. So, and then let's see what's going on in the live chat here. Live chat, I'm seeing 83% thumbs up for night 2 of SummerSlam and 17% staying in the middle. Appreciate you guys that had cast your vote. All right, so hey, what is next for yours truly? All right, so we got another show in the books. This is our second night of doing back-to-back shows. We're doing a third night of back-to-back shows. Apparently, Chelsea Green says she dedicates her win to Michael Hayes. Somewhere Michael Hayes is going. That wasn't Michael Hayes, Chelsea. That was Doc Hendricks. We got one more show we're going to be doing for you guys. Monday night, August 3rd, 2026. Soon as WWE Raw on Netflix goes off the air, I'll be right back here. So tune in. Soon as Raw goes off the air, I will be here. We'll talk Raw Fallout. We'll also dive into the very latest in headlines. Got a lot to get into. Some interesting little tidbits that came out of Saturday night's post media scrum or show, post show with Triple H. Some very interesting choice of words that he had to say for certain talents that are tired of seeing the same people over and over getting opportunities and all that. Lot of stuff that came out from that, and I'm sure there's going to be some stuff we're going to be able to react to from tonight's official WWE post show as well. And as I mentioned, we'll get into the latest in headlines. A lot to say. I'll be sounding off about this past week's AEW shows, TNA, JCW as well. So it's going to be good. We're going to be going all over the place. Also talk about the latest in entertainment headlines as well. In the meantime, what you can do for me is be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Just search the RCWR show. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, all social medias. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. I was asked the other day, yay, can you keep the foodie reviews coming? Yes, I'm sitting on a shit ton of videos. I just need to sit down and start uploading. I wasn't feeling too good the past couple of weeks, especially with everything that was happening with my mother-in-law. But now that she's in a much better place, which I'll give you guys a health update on her on Monday's show. But now that she's in a much better place, I can finally start, getting back into it. Was really hard focusing on my health and then taking care of some of my summer remote classes while dealing with, so now everything's kind of starting to calm down. Like, yes. Love it. But yeah, get at me. If you're waiting for the audio version of this, give me about 45 minutes. I'm going to mix this down right now so you guys will be able to enjoy it for your listening pleasure, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. That is going to do it until next go around. Wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys for your Monday Night Raw post show.